is the main event.
Hello and welcome everyone to another main event, Mark's Podcast. I am a lifelong wrestling fan and figure collector. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Troy, and joining me as always is the WWE Walking Wrestling Encyclopedia, the leader of the Overdrive brand, the main event collector, and he is the Elix skipper to my Christopher Daniels. He's Greg. What's up, Greg?
What's up? I'll take that one. I built this house.
Yeah, you work at Applebee's now, and I work at AEW. So which one of us worked out better?
Well, I mean, Applebee's, at least it'll be AEW. Anyways, Elix Skipper is so damn underrated.
Yeah, I always thought he was really good. He had like a cup of coffee at WCW.
And on Team Canada, mind you.
I know.
Why? But
Team Canada in TNA, which we're going to be talking about today, actually spawned a few, I want to say, they were big stars in TNA as the time went on. They had cups of coffee in WWE. Or
couple of TNA champs, I gotta say. So
yeah, right. Yeah, so we are talking about the glory days of TNA. And some people argued that the glory days started in 2004 and went to, I would say, 2009. Some people say it started in 2002, but I don't think so. I mean,
I'm never going to say the glory days were the pay-per-view only days.
Well, I think, yeah, because I think they came up with, what was it we just reviewed? Is now in the archives, some from 2002 we just covered.
Oh, the episode of Raw?
Oh, yeah, the episode of Raw from October 2002. That was right when TNA was bought out by, majority bought out by Panda Energy. Dixie Carter took over and whatever, so. And Explosion debuted that month as well. I'm not going to consider, because that's at the end of 2002. And I mean, 2002 was alright, but I mean, it had a lot of garbage in it as well. Some highlights. So I'm not going to sit there and say 2002 was a banner year for them. Probably started 2003. But 2004, you and I were talking about, isn't this their first, like, Sunday pay-per-view?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like an actual monthly pay-per-view now instead of the weekly stuff that was...
Weekly stuff was abolished in August, I think, or something like that.
Ah, okay. And they got Jeff Hardy here on the... I mean, he's in the main event. They've got stuff going on here, man. It's not the same TNA that people were used to. I mean, in some ways it is. You know, Jeff Jarrett running around as the NWA champ and, you know, bringing in people from the past. But they literally have done that forever. But yeah, you and I were big TNA fans back in the day. We bonded over that before anything else because, you know, that wasn't necessarily the popular thing to be a big TNA fan. But we did it. And I don't know, I loved TNA for years and years. I was kind of sad when it started going downhill and the big names started leaving. It seemed like every time somebody got big enough, they were like, oh, WWE's calling. Bye.
Yeah, they were the breeding ground.
I mean, the only ones I can say the exception to is, I mean, AJ Styles was always a top star. I think he went about as far as he could go in TNA. And then the other one was Samoa Joe kind of held out. I think he stuck around way too long. And Abyss should have left way before he did. I mean, not that he was like, oh my gosh, he's amazing. But, I mean, I liked Abyss. He's actually on this card. He's now in the backstage of WWE, and that's about all we can say for TNA right now. We're definitely going to get into the event at hand, but for those of you that don't know, we always, if you're a new listener, we always get into the news and notes of the time. We only have a few stories this time around, but, you know, stuff that I wanted to get into. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into all the news and notes from the time. But since it is close to Thanksgiving, we're going to go into the break with... Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @mainevent_marks and Facebook at facebook.com/maineventmarkspod.
Now, back to our program.
All right, time to get into the news and notes from the time. We are in November of 2004, just got into November. So the first story is like the biggest thing that was going on in wrestling at the time. Two of the biggest stories I have are out of WWE, actually. One of them, the big thing everybody was talking about at the time was WWE is in the process of thinning out its talent roster, and it seems like the Raw brand is getting hit the hardest, as 8 superstars from Raw have been let go, as well as 2 from SmackDown. The cuts include Billy Gunn, Albert, Test, Gail Kim, Nydia, Chuck Palumbo, Jazz, Rodney Mack, Johnny Stamboli, and Rico.
And of all of them, I believe Test is the only one that comes back. I guess, Tenzai came back. Okay. Still.
I mean, Albert came back here and there. In 2004, he was A-Train, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think he went to Japan from this, and he stayed over there for a long time, and then they didn't bring him back until... When the hell did he come back as Lord Tenzai?
2010? 9?
Yeah, that was... He was in Japan, so we gotta make him Japanese. I do have a Mattel figure of that, though. I have a Jax figure of A-Train, so there's that.
Of course you do.
Yeah, why not? Billy Gunn went to TNA shortly after this, I believe, and he was the Outlaw for a while. And then he was, I think that, what do they call him? He went through like 3 different names. I know he was Kip James after a while.
What was his first name? Was it Kip?
Yeah, did they just call him Kip Sop? Like his
Maybe?
real name? I don't remember. If somebody remembers, please let me know. I know he was the Outlaw, Kip James, and then he was, like, there for a while, he was the Outlaw, and then he was, like, nameless. Because he was, like, he wore a shirt that said NIN, no introduction needed. Like, look.
I thought it was a 9 Inch Nails shirt. I really did.
Right.
I really did.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a Billy Gunn fan, and I think he's great and kind of underrated. But they act like he was this huge get. Oh my gosh, it's Billy Gunn. No introductions needed. We already know who he is. Like, come on. Like,
well, Road Dogg was there too, so.
Excuse me. He was B.G. James. B. Jizzle.
The hell out of me.
Gail TNA and became a, like, big deal there. She, like, her WWE career is like a blip on the radar compared to anything she did in TNA. And wasn't she, I know this is laughable, but wasn't she a TNA Hall of Famer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only female in the TNA Hall of Fame. As if that's a real thing. But anyway, moving on. Nydia went nowhere. Chuck Palumbo came back, I think.
He did, yeah.
So they got rid of 2/3 of the full-blooded Italians here because they got rid of Johnny Stamboli.
Oh no!
He went on to TNA to become Relic, which of course is killer spelled backwards.
God, you couldn't go an episode in 2007 without hearing that.
Right. I think Jazz popped up in TNA for like a second, and now she's in NWA, I believe. Rodney Mack disappeared off the face of the planet, and Rico, I guess, went back to being a security guard or teaching karate, or I don't know what the hell he did.
Firefighter?
No.
Was he a cop?
Oh, yeah, he was a cop, yeah. Something like, yeah. So, yeah, that's what he did. Second story here is nothing really to laugh at here. This is kind of messed up. I mean, I don't like snakes, but, you know, this is pretty messed up. Jake the Snake Roberts has been found guilty of causing unnecessary cruelty to his pet Burmese python. Roberts apparently starved the snake to death from August to September in 2003. Roberts did not show up to his trial, and a warrant for his arrest was issued.
Wow, I forgot about that.
I didn't even know that was a thing. According to a couple guys, they used to have to get Jake new snakes on the regular because he would either get them in the trunk in the middle of winter and they would freeze to death, or, you know, various other mishaps would befall these snakes. So,
I wonder why he forgot them. I wonder if there's like a I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't trust a dude who's an alcoholic with, snakes.
If only.
Yeah, well.
It's sad. That's the least of his problems.
Alcoholic, drug addict, whatever. Don't trust him with, animals.
Well, so what you're saying is don't trust a snake.
Oh my gosh, I missed that one. Wow.
I would say it's early, but what's like 11 o'clock over there for you?
Yeah. Joni China Lauer is set to appear on season 1's reality TV show, The Surreal Life.
Anything for a buck.
Yeah, I've never even heard of The Surreal Life.
I think it was a bunch of celebrities that lived in a house or something together.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's coming back to me. I know The Miz made his living there for the longest time off of reality TV, specifically MTV. I think they just, paid him weekly for being on all their crappy shows.
Kind of like USA does now.
Wow, yeah. Well,
Actually, I like Ms. and Mrs. It's pretty funny. I was just kidding.
I know he was on his claim to fame was being on The Real World, if you want to call that a claim to fame. And then he was on, my cousin used to watch a lot of MTV, and he had it on one day, and that one show came out, Road Rules, and I was like, holy crap, The Miz is on here too. And I'm like, he's just like on all their terrible reality shows. Like, all right.
What do you mean terrible?
I said what I said. All right. Final story I have here. Speaking of tough enough contestants, on November 4th, 2004. Well, I was talking about The Miz, so.
I meant the real tough enough, not that. Okay.
What constitutes real and fake tough enough to you?
The one that was in the house, not just on SmackDown.
On the November 4th, 2004 episode of SmackDown, Kurt Angle challenged contestants from WWE reality show Tough Enough to best him in the ring. And
that was this time period?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I guess it's news, sorta, but it's become legend throughout the years. Daniel Puder stepped up to the plate. Daniel Puder, for all of you that don't remember, was his claim on the show was that he trained in MMA. He did like minor MMA like fights and stuff. Anyway, he stepped up. They're tussling with Angle for a few moments. Puder gripped Angle's right arm, forced it at an awkward angle, and by his own admission, tried to break it. The referee quickly counted the pin on Puder and forced him to break the hold. Puder said, I caught him in a key lock, pulled him into a Kimura, and tried to snap his arm off.
And for what?
Yeah, I mean, that's not going to... I don't know. I get that the point was you're supposed to be out-wrestling Kurt Angle, but a couple things about that. One, that's not wrestling. That's MMA. It's a little... I mean, if you're doing amateur wrestling, you can't lock in a Kimura. Like, I don't think that's allowed. Second of all, if you break one of the top guys' arms, like, they're not going to give you a job. They're going to see you promptly out the door. Pritchard said a couple things about this. He said, the first thing was Paul Heyman said he didn't want this to be Kurt Angle. He wanted it to be Nunzio.
That's messed up.
Well, because he said Nunzio's the toughest guy he knows, and he's a legit wrestler. Yeah, but he's like...
Kurt Angle's not?
Yeah. Well, his thing was, he was like, whoa, Kurt Angle has a hurt neck, and, Nunzio's a tough wrestler or whatever. Throw him out there. I'm like, no? Who would have cared about that? And then...
Nunzio. Yep. When I think badass tough dudes, man, I think Nunzio.
Well, and then on top of all that, Pritchard said, he was like, well, I mean, it was our fault because we didn't train the referee, but he's like, this was an amateur wrestling thing. He's counting to 3. Amateur wrestling, you count the pin. 1, he's pinned.
Yeah, right.
So he's like, the referee's counting to 3, and I'm like, he was like, I was angry at him, but more angry at myself, because I was like, it's a 1 count. And he's like, but nobody told me. He's like, well, sorry.
Wow.
So this was all kind of messed up. But anyway, that's all the news and notes for the time that I have. So, you ready to get into the event at hand?
I think so.
Okay, well, let's dive into the Victory Road.
Road of Victory.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @mainevent_marks and Facebook at facebook.com/maineventmarkspod.
Now, back to our program.
All right, getting to the event at hand. TNA Victory Road 2004 took place November 7th, 2004. The tagline, a 3-hour epic event. And it took place at the TNA Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida. Attendance, 700.
I want to joke, but that's probably a full house for them.
I don't really know what else to say about it. But yeah,
And most of them weren't even wrestling fans, per Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, he was like, well, they just came every week because they got in for free. All right, I believe you. But we opened the show with the trademark B-roll footage that TNA loved to use of a desert and satellite dishes.
Yeah, I never got that either.
Yeah, I was like, well, you're in Orlando. Pretty sure there's, if there's one thing Florida has a lot of, it's not desert. They were like, oh, it looks cool. We're painting over the desert with giant satellite dishes.
It's like a Vegas thing.
Yeah, I know. Also, we're treated to a voiceover by the epic voice guy who's now passed away. Unfortunately.
Very recently, by the way.
Yeah, what, a year ago? Year and a half?
No, it was like a couple months ago.
Oh, he died in 2020?
Yeah.
If I knew the guy's name, I'd look him up, but I don't know. I never figure out the guy's name. They showed him, like, in later years, they started actually showing him in the build-up footage. You remember that?
I do.
This all took me back to my teenage years, I've got to say, because I was 14 when this aired. So we go to the commentary desk to start the show. Don West is wearing a silver satin shirt with a silver satin necktie.
Because he's a boss.
Yeah, he looked like a broke pimp.
What the hell? A broke pimp.
I don't know. He was.
Holy crap.
He was like, they say Jerry Lawler dresses stupid. Well, hold my beer. Hold my brown bag special.
He'll sell you some stuff, man.
Yeah, well, he'll sell the crap out of some stuff.
Like nobody's business.
He's also ready to explode all over Mike Tenay, I noticed.
Wow.
He's just like a giant ball of weird energy.
Okay, this is not getting any less weird.
I don't know. I'll get more into the commentary as the night goes on, but they show Shane Douglas interview Jeff Jarrett as he arrives to the arena. I completely forgot that Shane Douglas used to be an interviewer. Jarrett.
Right, I did too.
Yeah, Jarrett says that he spoke with Scott Hall, who assured Jarrett that Kevin Nash would not be here tonight. I didn't know the significance of this because they don't fully explain it until like halfway through the night.
They kept using the name Jeff because both guys in the event were named Jeff.
Yeah.
So it made it look like Nash was on Jeff Hardy's side.
Yeah, well, because the thing was, like, the build-up was supposed to be Nash was going to be in Jeff Hardy's corner, Scott Hall was going to be in Jeff Jarrett's corner, and, like, but they don't explain this throughout the night until, like, later on.
Well, to be fair, they did on Impact going into it, so.
Yeah, I know. It's just, like, if you're going into the show not, like, because WWE does a great...
Why would you do that, though? Why would you go to a pay-per-view not watching the build-up?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've done that a few times with certain things, and because my thing is, like, WWE in the last few years has done an excellent job with the build-up packages to catch you up, and so you know what the hell is going on before every match. If you didn't watch the build-up, you just watch the package that, for 3 minutes, you know what's going on. TNA, it took them a while to catch up with that. The first match of the night here was a 20-man X Division gauntlet for the X Division Cup. It went for 26 minutes, 25 minutes, 25 seconds.
X Division Cup?
Yeah. It
I'm trying to hold a straight face saying that.
I don't remember how many years they did this, but I mean, I kind of enjoyed this stuff because they would bring in people that, weren't on the roster, and I like that sometimes, but I don't know.
Who needs a job and $20?
Wow. Yeah. So, and they always got Hector Garza, and they always liked Hector Garza, so it was cool to see that. And they got some other people that I knew, some ones that I didn't. So, I enjoyed it. And the World X Cup and all that stuff. It was cool, but I don't know. This match, the gauntlet, by the way, I was thinking it was like a traditional gauntlet. It's not. It's basically a 20-man Royal Rumble, but when it comes down to the last two men, they have to pin or submit the other one.
I kind of like that concept.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I wasn't expecting when they said gauntlet. I didn't know what to think. I don't like the traditional gauntlets. Here's where I first I forgot how awful of a commentator Don West really was.
He wasn't that bad.
I couldn't stand him on the show. I mean, he wasn't like the worst I ever heard, but I don't know. And Mike Tenay, I'm getting what Eric Bischoff was talking about now, because he said Mike Tenay was great at his role in WCW. He sucked as a play-by-play. And I get what he means, because he was doing here what he did in WCW. Every guy that came out, he's running down their resume, which is fine, but I feel like that's better as like the third man. My God, Mike Tenay is the third man. The professor is here.
Still would have been better than Mabel.
Oh my gosh. Mike Tenay just lets everyone know that LA Park was La Parka from WCW, but was renamed after a legal dispute. So I'm glad we got that out of the way.
I kind of marked when he came out with a chair.
Yeah, that was cool to see. He had some moves, man. I mean, you look at him and you're like, some out of shape dude in a bodysuit, but he had some moves. Miyamoto,
dancing?
No, like he was doing like flips and hurricane ranas and head scissors. I was like, dang, all right, dude. I've never heard of Miyamoto before, but he comes out in Great Muta cosplay.
It's probably exactly what he is.
Yeah, because when he came out, I was like, did they get the Great Muta to wear his old stuff for like one night only? And they said Miyamoto, and I'm like, okay. Obviously,
the guy who made Mario?
I don't know. But I said, obviously he was nowhere in his league, but Michael Shane has a lot of his cousin Shawn Michaels' mannerisms, and he moved a lot like him. So I don't know if that's just a family thing, or if he sat there studying tapes of Shawn Michaels, because he's like, well, they're going to bill me as his cousin, which, I mean, I guess is legit, but it's like they're going to beat it home on commentary that I'm Shawn Michaels' cousin, so I really got to act like Shawn Michaels. Just like little things not everything, but little things that he would do. I was like, yeah,
didn't he use a super kick too?
Yes, he did. When he was Michael Shane, because at this time he's Michael Shane, until WWE trademarked it, he was calling
and then never used it.
Yeah, I know. Stupid. But he called it the Sweet Shane Music. And then once he had to change his name to his legit real name, Matt Bentley.
For a minute he was just Michael. Don't forget that.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember that one.
Yes, it was just Michael. But to be fair, it was when TNA wasn't on TV. They just lost the deal with FS1, and they were getting ready to move to Spike. So it was during that time when he was just Michael. So.
Okay. Well, when he had to change his name to his real name, Matt Bentley, he called it the Head-On Collision, which I thought was a cool name. He went through so many names: Michael Shane, Michael, Matt Bentley. What the hell was he in Serotonin?
Was he in Serotonin?
Yeah, he bleached his hair out and
I thought that was Kaz and Johnny Devine.
There were three of them. There's Kaz. I think Bentley was Martyr.
Was it Martyr?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was his name. I can't remember what Devine was.
I feel like Martyr sounds right because his name's Matt.
Yeah. That family just has a ton of terrible names. Bentley, Hickenbottom. Ugh. Anyway, moving on.
Wow, judge much?
Yes, I do. I honestly thought that Sabin was going to win this match when he came out. I mean, not now. I knew who was going to win now in 2020, but back then I was like, Sabin's going to win because he was one of their top X Division guys.
I think my money was on the actual winner.
Yeah. Well, the final four were Spanky, Kazarian. Yes, he was calling himself Spanky. For those of you who don't know, it's Brian Kendrick.
I don't care if it's a Little Rascals thing. That's not what people think about when they hear Spanky, but whatever.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, why would you ever call yourself Spanky? It's just, no. No.
I don't know. Isaac Yankem?
Yeah. Well, Spanky.
So many entendres here.
Kazarian, Chris Sabin, and Hector Garza were the final four, excuse me. Kazarian was, at this time, this was during the time he was calling himself the coolest Kazarian.
Not the future.
Yeah. What's funny is his future wife was the valet for Michael Shane here, his tag partner, but didn't usually come out with Kazarian. But finally, it came down to Kazarian and Garza as the final two, where it had to be won via pinfall or submission. Finally, Garza misses the tornillo. Kazarian rolls him up. Garza reverses it and gets the pinfall victory over Kazarian. Uncle Dave gave this 4 stars. I gave it 3. What say you?
I gave it 3. I actually love this match, though.
I did.
I had a fun time watching it back. I forgot how much awesomeness there was in the X Division in the early days.
Yeah, I mean, let's run down some of these names here. Like, it took talk about going down memory lane. We got Kazarian, and these are all in order for entry. Kazarian, Sanjay Dutt, Puma, who would later go on to be TJP, Jay Perkins, L.A. Park, Jarrell Clark, Miyamoto, Michael Shane, Hector Garza, Nasawa, Mikey Batts, who they drove that home that he, not in this match, but usually, I remember them driving it home that he was Billy Kidman's cousin. So they
no offense, but that's not a really big claim to fame, is it?
Yeah, as they're like,
do you know who my family member is? Billy Effin Kidman.
Yeah,
oh man, you're a star.
We gotta make some roster cuts here. Sorry, Mikey, you didn't make the cut. But my cousin is Billy Kidman. Oh, well, I'm sorry. We'll keep you on. Alex Shelley.
Crap.
Alex Shelley, who was I call this his baby fat stage, because I mean he was not ripped and shredded like the Alex Shelley that we know and love.
Well, he was the baby bear at this point.
Yeah. Matt Sydal, who would go on to be Evan Bourne. Now he's back in Impact as Matt Sydal. Sonny frickin' Siaki. Or AEW.
Oh, he's in AEW. Yeah.
Okay, my bad. That's right.
He's almost crippling himself in AEW right now. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Sonny frickin' Siaki. Jason Cross. I forgot about this dude. He was just kind of there.
Wasn't Sonny Siaki like their bad attempt at having a Rocky Maivia?
Yeah, every time I looked at him, I was like, you look like a cross between The Rock and Batista. And he just, I liked him, and he was good in the ring. He just didn't have the it factor. Shark Boy,
Bobby Roode is in there, though.
Psychosis in his mask again. D-Ray 3000, who, those of you guys that didn't know, he was just a skinny, he looked like he could have been the son of the comedian Sinbad.
I was thinking that guy, Kamal Bell, but yeah, okay, I can see that too.
He had a big afro. Obviously, D-Ray 3000 is off of Andre 3000. But yeah, he was.
The thing about him is like, he was a completely comedy character. They teamed up with Shark Boy. It was like,
yeah, and they did the battering ram.
That was supposed to be a thing. Yeah, they did a battering ram where Shark Boy's fin hurt them or D-Ray's afro hurt them. Like, yeah.
And he came out picking his afro all the time.
Yes.
That was his gimmick. He always had an afro pick. Let's see. The Amazing Red, who Don West absolutely just messed his pants for. Which, I mean, if you're going to mess your pants for somebody, I mean, sure, Amazing Red.
Amazing Red's two biggest fans, Don West and Sasha Banks. True story.
Wow, nice. That's an odd one, but the last two to enter were Spanky and Chris Sabin. This was chibi Chris Sabin. I have a Marvel
alien music Chris Sabin.
Yeah, he always used to wear the alien tights, whatever. I remember he had the shoulder length hair, and he dyed it like red, like Little Mermaid red. And then he just I still do, but man, he was one of my absolute favorites. Oh yeah,
in TNA. The Cradle Shock to this day is still one of my favorite finishers ever.
Yep, I used to create him in every WWE game I had. But yeah, I remember he disappeared for a while, and he came back with like spiked blonde hair, and he said he went Super Saiyan because he's a nerd.
Oh man, him and Keith Lee should hang out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, I know a certain faithful listener of our show may appreciate the Super Saiyan reference. After the match, someone from the Spanish announce table interviews Hector Garza about his win.
Because, reasons.
Yeah, obvious reasons. I
don't know why it lasted that so hard.
I don't know if Hector
Garza... It makes
total
sense the guy speaking Spanish to interview him, but I don't know. I just laughed.
I don't know if Hector Garza actually spoke English because this entire promo was in Spanish. So
I don't think he ever really learned English.
Well, he never really... I mean, he wrestled in WCW for a heartbeat. He would make appearances in TNA. Nah, I don't know.
There's still a Garza in wrestling today who is damn good, by the way.
That is his nephew, for all of you that don't know, Angel Garza.
That guy is so damn good.
Speaking of,
what is it with the skinny Latin guys nowadays? Him and Guevara. I'm like, my God, man.
Right.
Amazing.
That was I think that's a Pride and Joy hire of, I don't think he hired him per se, but Bruce Pritchard loves the Garza family. He said when they did that Super Astros stuff, he said the only thing he cared about, he was like, I want that Garza kid. Well, yeah. He didn't get him. He went to WCW, but I think the reason he went to WCW
probably better because, man, that light heavyweight division sucked.
Yeah, and Super Astros was on for a couple months, maybe. But we get I didn't even remember this was a thing. I don't know about you.
I remember.
We get a campaign commercial for Dusty Rhodes to be voted for the Director of Authority over Vince Russo. What the actual hell is going on here? I put that in my notes.
They're fighting over, obviously, who's the authority figure. One of them is going to be out. The other one's going to be the guy. Of course, the one that's out is actually the head booker.
Yeah.
He said he wanted to get off TV. And to his credit, I believe this is one of the last times we ever see Russo on TNA TV.
Well, this was, Vince Russo loved his acronyms, man. TNA, SEX, and now DOA, Director of Authority.
Bro, 3 letters, man. They can mean anything, bro.
This whole thing, obviously they're doing it because of, they want to do the authority figure thing like you were talking about, want to get Russo off TV, yada yada, Dusty Rhodes, make him the guy. Also, it's November of 2004. For those that don't remember or aren't old enough to remember, God bless you. George Bush was up for re-election. He was running against John Kerry. So, that was all going on right about now. So, had to get that in there. Whatever. But anyway.
Well, I believe the election was 2 days after this.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, Scott Hudson is backstage. I forgot he was an interviewer in TNA as well.
I liked him, by the way.
Yeah, I thought he was very underrated. But he's running all of this down, and he says that there was a web server breakdown in Stamford, Connecticut that they're looking into.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So, for those of you that think that AEW was, they were, they always talk about WWE, man. It's like, well, literally everybody has. Forever. Not saying it's right, just saying it always happens. It's just subtle little
like
jab.
Roman Reigns says, dude, acknowledge them.
Yeah. Hudson interviews Kid Cash Dallas, who is now Lance Archer? Yeah, I'm sorry. He's had so many names.
Lance Hoyt, Vance Archer, Vance Hoyt, Lance Vance. I don't know.
Yeah, he's Lance Archer.
Either way, everybody dies. So,
good grief. But yeah, Kid Cash, Dallas, who, like I said, is now Lance Archer, and the Naturals, Chase Stevens and Andy Douglas, about their upcoming match. But Cash takes up the entire interview talking about how he's the veteran and he's going to tell the others what to do. This was the era where Lance Hoyt, Lance Archer, whatever, was, keep in mind, you know how huge he is. He was doing moonsaults.
He was, literally about to take off, for, at least to the fans.
Yeah. I don't know why I know he's from Dallas, but I don't know why they changed his name just out of the blue with no explanation. He's not Dallas anymore. He's Lance Hoyt. Okay. Cool. Whatever.
My only guess is a trademark thing, or I don't know.
Pal. Trademark.
One name.
Like Madonna.
Wow.
I'm just I don't know why I'm picturing him having those meetings. It's like Antonio Cesaro. He's not Antonio anymore. He's just Cesaro. One name, pal. Like Madonna.
He's just Riddle.
Yeah. But anyway, this next match is the Naturals, Andy Douglas and Chase Stevens, Kid Cash, and Dallas taking on the team of Eric Watts, Pat Kenny, Johnny B. Bad, and Ron the Truth Killings.
Hold on. So Cowboy Bill Watts Kid.
Yep.
Simon Diamond.
Yep.
Marvelous Mark Marrow. And we'll just give the last one to him because.
Yeah. Yeah, Ron the Truth Killings was, you could call him K-Quick, R-Truth, whatever. let's go with K-Quick.
This is a rogues gallery.
Yeah, right. This is just, like, what the hell's going on here?
I also just, real quick, more of just, who was polling for Eric Watts to have a gig here? Jim Ross is in WWE, so, I mean, and Bill's nowhere near this company, so who?
Well, from everything I heard, everybody said he was a really nice guy, and he got along with everyone, so...
Is that to mask because he can't wrestle?
I don't know. I just assume he was a nice guy, so like, we feel bad for him, give him a job. But yeah, who the hell could have possibly given a crap about Eric Watts in 2004? Or ever, for that matter, but, this match went just over 4.5 minutes. Mike Tenay was insistent. He insisted that he tell us exactly why Pat Kenny's new nickname is the Empire Saint. He beat this home for 4.5 minutes.
Wasn't he Irish, Pat Kenny, too? Didn't they make sure to let us know he was Irish?
Yep. And
they did make sure to say the former Simon Diamond, too.
I loved his theme in ECW. I have that on my playlist sometimes. Simon Says. But that's neither here nor there. But he just beat the damn thing home. I said I couldn't give a damn less about his nickname, about this match, about any of it. Ron Killings ends up pinning Chase Stevens after a pedigree, but he doesn't land on his knees. He lands in the splits. Unfortunately, we don't have a rating from Uncle Dave here, but I gave it 2 stars. What say you?
I gave it 1. It was boring. You're not going to tell everybody the thing about his nickname? Come on. Don't leave him hanging.
I don't remember. I didn't care. It was something about he was a wrestling star in New York, and they called him the Empire Saint. I was like, okay.
ECW did.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Yeah, I was like, cool. Why do I care? They couldn't even give him, because there for a while he was still Simon Diamond in TNA. Do you remember?
I do.
Yeah, the Diamonds in the Rough. And he came out to that cool instrumental of Simon Says. But then they changed literally everything about him, and what little care I had for him before just evaporated in a heartbeat. Backstage, Shane Douglas is by a big limo that just pulled up. He's trying to figure out who is inside. He thinks it's Kevin Nash, but the driver, who looks like the guy who's now AJ Styles' bodyguard. Am I wrong?
Nope.
Yeah, he steps out.
Got a couple of inches on him, but
Yeah, that's true. But he says that it is not Kevin Nash, and he argues with Shane Douglas, trying to keep him back. We now see night vision footage of Abyss locked away in solitary confinement, getting ready for the Monsters Ball match.
I forgot about that. When I saw it, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, that was the original concept, for people who don't remember, of the Monsters Ball. And I don't know why you would remember, but regardless, the original concept was 24 hours before the match, you were locked away in solitary confinement in the dark. No food, no water, no nothing. And, just to fester in your hate and your anger, and then they let you loose for the Monsters Ball. So, do we get points for originality or no?
No, because Roddy Piper did this for Super Brawl in San Francisco, and he stayed in Alcatraz for a whole day. A couple days, I think, actually.
Yeah.
So, no, it's already been used.
Whatever. Who's making up these rules, man? But all right.
Say Vince Russo, I don't know. Bro, they're not going to eat, bro. They're going to want to kill each other.
This was a thing Jim Cornette had a problem with, because he said his whole thing. Jim
Cornette has a problem. There's a new one. Sorry.
Well, not this particular match, but he was talking about his entire job, why they brought him in as the authority figure. And when did they bring him in? 05, 06? I want to say 06. 06? Yeah. The whole reason he claims the reason why he was on camera was because they didn't want Russo on camera, and like you said, he didn't want himself on camera anymore. And
I don't believe him that. I don't believe he didn't want himself on camera, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, he said they needed somebody to go out there and try to explain in plain English the crap that he was writing. Because he said it was so convoluted that you needed somebody to go out there and just try to explain it to the masses.
And they pick a guy who wants to have his head on a stick.
Mm-hmm. A guy who, his first day in TNA, spit in the face of Ed Ferrara and threatened to beat the crap out of him. So, there's that. But anyway, well, you want to know something even better than all of that, Greg? It's a short match.
This next match.
It's a real short match. I mean,
you're an expert on this, I think. Go ahead.
Wow. It went just shy of 3 minutes. It is Peratita Morgan versus Mascarita Sagrada. Mascarita Sagrada is the future El Torito. We talked about him on a recent podcast, and I can't even remember why. But we did. He comes out to a clear ripoff of Lowrider. Did you catch that?
I did.
Just keeping up with the stereotypical whatever. At one point, Sagrada pretends to be dead, and they make a comedy spot out of it.
I like the whole crowd.
How dare you? He is the top mini in all of Mexico, and you could tell this was 2004 because they openly and repeatedly used the word midget. So
I think that's a term of respect, actually, for this division down there.
I think they're just called the minis, but I don't know. But either way, Peratita Morgan is the mini version of Parita Morgan, and who, you'd have to, if you care enough, which I don't know why you would, but he's a luchador, been around forever. And he's a big, fat, short guy, this little dude here we're talking about. Sagrada eventually rolls up Morgan for the win. This match sucked. I gave it 1 star. I was thinking about giving it a dud. What say you?
I hated it. I didn't think I needed to say it.
This was it was just boring. It sucked. It was boring. They literally did a spot where they pretended the one guy was dead. What the F? I don't even know what to say at that point. Is there anything to say?
Nope.
All right, moving on.
1 star, keep it moving.
Yep. All right. Next up, we get another stupid segment with Scott Hudson talking about the DOA vote. He's then interrupted by the 3 Live crew, who is Konnan, BG James, and Ron the Truth Killings. I still laugh at BG James acting all gangster.
Yeah. Isn't he like Georgia Hick?
Yeah, I mean, he's the son of Bullet Bob Armstrong. So
he is a legit badass too, though. I mean, let's be real.
Oh yeah, he's a former Marine.
So it's not like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, all the respect in the world to him. By the way, the Marine Corps birthday just happened the day before Veterans Day, so shout out for that for BG James. But Scott Hall comes out, and the very tiny crowd blows up for him. Hall says that Kevin Nash, who was supposed to be in Jeff Jarrett's opponent's corner tonight, will not be there tonight. After all, he says, quote, "Let the best Jeff win." I mean...
Yeah. Look, I gotta be real with you. Going into this, I knew for a fact that neither one of them was back in Hardy. I feel like they both kept saying Jeff. It's like, dude, they're both gonna screw Hardy over tonight. You know they are.
Yeah,
Not to get ahead, but man, I saw the end coming from a mile away.
This got really weird, and we'll have to talk about it here in a second. We get a build-up video for Team Canada, basically stealing the NWA World Tag Team titles, and then the 3 Live crew earning their shots at the titles.
Opportunity?
Yeah. Don't call them belts. God dang it.
Want a shot at the belt.
How dare you? Nobody talks like that, Greg. You have to say title opportunity.
That might make him have an aneurysm.
Oh, man. I forgot, by the way, because, like I said, this was so long ago. I forgot that Scott D'Amore's thing was looking into the camera and going, ha, ha, ha.
It's a hockey thing.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, you would know better than I, which is odd because you live in California. But either way, Team Canada, which is represented by Eric Young and Bobby Roode, they have Scott D'Amore in their corner. Yes, by the way, I said Bobby Roode, for those of you who didn't know. He was the enforcer of Team Canada. They are defending their NWA World Tag Team titles against the 3 Live crew represented by Konnan and BG James. This went for just shy of 7 minutes. Don West clearly doesn't know how to speak over the ring, clearly doesn't know not to speak over the ring announcer, because no one can understand anybody when they're both talking. I don't know if you caught that.
I didn't.
Yeah, because they're playing the music really loud. The ring announcer's talking really loud, and then Don West is talking really loud. I couldn't understand a damn thing. And in the end, Ron Killings chases off Scott D'Amore when D'Amore tried to use the hockey stick. Team Canada still has the advantage until Konnan hits a facebuster on Bobby Roode for the win. I will say I did not call Bobby Roode getting pinned here, but this was 2.5 stars from me. What say you?
I gave it 2. It wasn't great, but wasn't like a piece of crap.
Nah, this was, obviously BG and Konnan in the downward part of their careers, like towards the end, and this was Chibi, Bobby Roode, and Eric Young. I have a Marvel figure of Eric Young in his Don't Fire Eric shirt.
I have a Mattel Sandy figure.
Ah, nice. I want that figure. I guarantee it's like impossible to find now, but.
Yep.
We now see night vision footage of Raven in solitary confinement with a straitjacket on. He said that locking him in a room by himself was a mistake because it's driven him insane. It was.
Oh, wow. Now he's insane?
Yeah. He said, well, I was crazy before, but now I'm insane. I'm like, those words are literally interchangeable.
Yeah, right.
That's like saying, well, I'm not wrong, I'm not incorrect, I'm just wrong. It's like, same thing. Whatever. Semantics. But I said it was a pretty decent promo. I always liked Raven's mic work, but he ends with a weird poem. Whatever. He's another one I have a Marvel figure of. In his skirt.
It's a kilt, pal.
God dang it. No, I'm 1/4 Scottish, and I know what a kilt looks like. That is a skirt. I don't know why. I know Raven's just a weird dude, but why did he all of a sudden decide, you know what I'm going to do to change things up? Wear a skirt to the ring and wrestle in it.
Because nobody else ever has?
And not like ironically either, just like it's going to be a black skirt. And yeah. Did he steal that from Saturn?
Or he gave the idea to him?
He's like, hey, I came up with the idea for you, so I'm taking it back. And I'm sure Saturn.
I'd be like, you could have it.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, fine, dude. I'm carrying around a mop, so it's all good. We now get a stupid campaign commercial for Vince Russo to become the Director of Authority, where he tries to make himself look tough and make Dusty Rhodes look old and stupid. We saw Vince Russo on camera, by the way. We didn't actually hear him say a word, which I was fine with, but, just pointing it out. Roddy Piper now comes out to the ring for a TNA-themed Piper's Pit.
Oh, man.
This
was legendary.
Well, you could tell it was a TNA-themed Piper's Pit because they literally just took a checkered bed sheet and threw it on the ring mat.
Money's tight, pal. We don't spike TV money yet.
Yeah. Gosh. Piper made sporadic, weird appearances in TNA, where it's like, did you just need a paycheck? And they're like, hey, come on in.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, if they're willing to pay you, why not? Just come in, talk some crap. But anyway, he talks about all of the heel heat he's had throughout his career before he introduces Superfly Jimmy Snuka.
Man.
Piper.
This is another segment I completely forgot about until you watched it.
Yeah. Piper pulls out a coconut and he puts it in Snuka's hand. He turns his back on him, telling him to hit him because, that moment that he smashed that coconut over Snuka's head has haunted him all these years, and he wants Snuka to get his revenge and set him free. But he says he deserves it, and Snuka just won't do it. He just stands there staring at him, and Piper's screaming like a madman. Finally, of all people, Kid Cash comes out to interrupt them. Talks a bunch of trash to Snuka.
Because, that's what we need on the show is another Kid Cash appearance.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're being sarcastic, but yeah. Well, they talked a bunch of trash to Snuka.
I was trying.
Then he tries to hit him. Snuka grabs him, throws him into the ropes, and chops him. Kazarian and Michael Shane, of all people, then jump Snuka, and Piper helps fight them off. Then Sanjay Dutt comes in to help. Cash cracks a coconut upside the head of Sanjay, and Piper chases Cash off. It's just, what the F was this? What was any of this?
I don't know.
This was the stupidest crap I've ever seen. Oh, well, I don't know about the stupidest, but it was up there.
Maybe overdoing it now. Because there's a lot worse.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on, we get a more
Keep it moving.
We get more night vision footage of Monty Brown in solitary confinement. He delivers a very shouty promo and breathes heavily.
Played the Super Bowl with the Bills, in case you don't know, they tell you 5,000 times.
Well, you know what's the major difference between the Buffalo Bills and Cheerios, right? Cheerios belong in a bowl.
Wow.
Come on.
Either way you look at it, they're all O's.
Yeah. Oh, man. I actually have a Marvel figure of him, too. I was a big Monty Brown fan back in the day. I was so upset that, things didn't work out for him in WWE.
Yeah, because Marcus Corvon and that epic theme, man. I don't know how that didn't get over.
Yeah. Hey, we like you, but we're going to bring you in and change literally everything about you. Is that cool? Cool. We see footage of Trinity on multiple episodes of Impact. She says she wants to fight anybody. She's even saying she wants to fight men. The TNA won't give her any opportunities. Vince Russo finally told her that she's going to have a match at Victory Road, but she won't like who her opponent is. Ooh.
Yeah.
So, we get this. It's Trinity with Glenn Gilberti, who some of you may know better as the Disco Inferno.
Some of you, everybody knows him better as Disco.
I know him as Disco with a Q. No? Come on.
No, never.
Come on. It was a take on Cisco. Thong Song, man.
And he was in the NWO and the Filthy Animals, just...
we try not to remember that.
But you want to remember the Q in Disco.
Yeah, like I said, Thong Song, dude. Come on. But anyway, Trinity's with Glenn Gilberti and Johnny effing Swinger, who is back in Impact, by the way. Of all people they could possibly bring back, Johnny Swinger. She's taking
up that corpse.
She's taking on a mystery opponent. Obviously, this match goes just shy of 2 minutes. 1 minute too long. Trinity says that no one is going to accept her challenge and says that everyone is too afraid, so she poses with Gilberti and Swinger until Jacqueline jumps her and takes out all three people. Yes, the man, the woman, all of them. Gilberti and Swinger get involved a bunch in this very short match, but Jacqueline mostly beats up Trinity until the very end, where Swinger gets Jacqueline with a hot shot over the top rope, and Trinity nails a moonsault for the win. 1 star. What say you?
1 star. I also got to bring up that Mike Tenay had to remind us that Jacqueline just beat Chavo for the Cruiserweight title. Did you catch that?
Oh, for God's sake, no.
He brought it up in the match.
Of course he did.
Oh, man. Well, I'm surprised he didn't bring up her beating Disco back in the name WCW.
That would make more sense. He was literally in the match. Well, not in it, but he was involved in it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, man. I laughed so hard. I'm like, wow, I even forgot about that. I think I put it on, the way back in my mind.
Yeah. Gosh, this was embarrassing. Jacqueline stuck around for a while. She eventually changed her name to Jackie Moore, or Miss Jackie Moore, whatever. And she was the manager for America's Most Wanted for a while, wasn't she?
No, that was Gail Kim.
Well, I know Gail Kim, but I thought she was with him before or after Gail. I know she was managing somebody for a while.
I think she might have just been with James Storm.
Ah, that's right. When they broke up, yes, that's why I was thinking America's Most Wanted. When they split up, she joined up with James Storm. Either way, moving on. Scott Hudson is backstage with Christopher Daniels.
Oh, God, this segment.
Scott Hudson is backstage with Christopher Daniels and Elix Skipper of Triple X. The third member was Low Key. Was he still there at this point?
I think he was gone.
Okay. Yeah, go figure. Low Key coming in and out. Yeah, who would have called that? So it's just down to these two guys calling themselves Triple X. But they say they've already beat their opponents up in the past, and they'll do it again. I really had no other notes for this other than Skipper wasn't great on the mic, and Daniels has come a long way. That's all I can say.
Did you notice that Scott Hudson brought Catherine Harris with the voting?
Wait, who?
The woman who was I think she was the governor or something of Florida with the whole Bush, Florida thing back in 2000.
God's sake.
And they're voting right now for Russo and Rhodes.
Yeah.
He brings up Catherine Harris to make sure the voting's on the up and up.
Let's see. Well, let's make sure there's no hanging chads. I want to say that was the number one Halloween costume of 2001 was probably the hanging Chad.
Yep. Remember they even used it in How I Met Your Mother. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Weren't people kind of like, what the hell are you supposed to be?
Yep.
Yeah. But we get highlights of how calling out Raven and Abyss for quite a while now, and they finally challenged. Then he finally challenged them to a Monsters Ball match. I didn't watch all the build up to this, and I forget because it's been so long ago. Why was he picking a fight with Abyss and Raven? Just cause?
Just cause.
Because he just wants to beat people up. Cool.
I think Raven did cost him a Impact or the TNA title at some point too. So.
Yeah. This is the Monsters Ball match. It went for 9 minutes 5 seconds. It was between the Monster Abyss, Raven, and the alpha male Monty Brown. Raven and Abyss are already battling before Monty Brown can even get to the ring. We get a shot of the rafters of someone walking around up there in a black druid outfit with their face covered. Did we ever find out who the hell that is?
I think it was Eric Watts.
Why?
Because he was getting rid of a feud with Raven and DDP when he came in.
God.
Yeah.
Who, not only did they bring Eric Watts in, but then they were like, let's give him a push. Sort of.
I'm going to do one better. Instead of that, let's just do something with him. Why?
Well,
I'm sorry. Look, I just... No disrespect. But man, he's not good.
No.
His dad was not good. What about this family?
Well, I don't know about his dad in the ring. From what I heard, his dad was good in the ring and had a good following, but I don't know. I can't find any freaking footage of him because that was umpteen million years ago in the South, where they didn't exactly, record on their television tapes and keep them around for very long. Was that really messed up? I don't know. All right. Anyway,
I don't know if it was messed up. That was a good impersonation.
Yeah. So that was Eric F. and Watts, dude. Just why? I don't know.
Techno Team 2000, baby.
Well, my question is, did he lock Raven in an STF in the middle of a parking lot of a gas station?
Did he?
No, I just because he did that to Arn Anderson, if you remember.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Go back in WCW, everybody. Arn Anderson tried to attack Eric Watts at a gas station, so Eric locked in an STF in the parking lot of a gas station. Because that's a thing.
That was clearly dad booking.
Yeah. You're going to get him down, you're going to lock him in the STF, right in front of all the gas pumps.
You can make that some tap out. You're going to be the next horseman. You're going to be the enforcer horseman now.
Good Lord. But anyway, these guys beat the piss out of each other. The referee takes a big bump at one point as Monty Brown power slams Abyss, which I thought was pretty damn impressive. Abyss eventually pulls out a bag of thumbtacks and pours them out because, that's what he does. But Raven, Raven powerbombs Abyss off the top rope into the tacks that Abyss laid out. That never happens.
Okay, there are 3 rules in wrestling. First and foremost, Hogan must pose.
Of course.
Number 2, now, Lana must go through the announce table.
God.
And 3, Abyss must go through tacks.
Yep. Well, not even just Abyss must go through tacks. Abyss must be, bested with the weapon that he introduced.
Yeah, right. Abyss must be killed.
Yeah, just like James Mitchell said, he was like, I don't get your character. He was like, you pull out all these weapons, and every single time you trip over your own dick and you fall into it.
Yep.
Didn't you say he won the NWA title by getting thrown through a table that he set up?
Yep. Barbed wire table. Sting shoved him through it. Referee disqualified him.
God dang it. Yeah, so anyway. In the end, Raven knocks Abyss off the apron, and Abyss goes through a table. Shocker. Monty Brown then hits the pounce on Raven through another table, and he wins via pinfall. I gave this 2 stars. What's a you?
I gave it 2 only because it made me laugh a few times.
It was entertaining to an extent, but it was garbage. Pure garbage. And I like all 3 of these guys. But not one of the best monster balls I've ever seen, I'll say that. Up next, Shane Douglas is going off on the driver of the white limo that pulled up, telling him that he is going to interview whoever's inside, but the driver is not letting him see who it is. One of the Harris brothers, I guess it was Don Harris, was the only one around at this time. They called him Heavy D. Got to slap another gimmick on one of the Harris brothers.
Heavy D was a rather large black rapper, not a white skinhead that probably hates black people. Just gotta point that out.
Well, yeah, I mean, the rumor is that they were Aryan. I should,
so,
maybe, but what? Either way, just a rumor. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, Heavy D.
Confirmed, and we're not going to touch that. Let's go.
Yep, Heavy. So Heavy D comes out. This is like his 5,000th gimmick. He gets into it, and he starts shouting at Douglas, and he shoves him, and they start yelling back and forth. Blah. Then we get footage playing of the TNA Fan Fest that went on during the week leading up to Victory Road. I will say TNA always had good meet and greet stuff. The wrestlers legit seemed happy to be meeting with you and whatever.
Because you never know when a WWE scout was going to be meeting with you.
Wow. Scott Hudson's backstage again with Scott D'Amore and Petey Williams. Williams and D'Amore get mad at the suggestion that AJ Styles might win here tonight. D'Amore says that if AJ does win, he's leaving and he's never coming back to TNA. Oh no. I
remember literally thinking this was his write-off.
Yeah, I know. I was like, wait a minute, I don't think this was the end of D'Amore. He was around for at least another year or two. We then get a highlight video for both men and their finishing moves. And I'm just going to say this was a Russo thing, or maybe it's not. I don't know. You notice the music that they used in all the build-up packages was like that 90s club techno music.
Yeah. I don't think Russo had anything to do with that, honestly.
Well, I guess, because it started, because they did that in WCW before Russo showed up.
I'm just going to say, I don't think it has anything to do with production packages at all.
Yeah.
From my knowledge, the only thing I've ever heard about him production-wise is he loves the quick camera cuts.
Like friggin' Bucky Beaver. Cool. that does remind me, now you said that, I think they did have quite a few carryovers from WCW in their production department, so...
Well, also on that, don't keep in mind David Sahadi, because I know that name because they say it all the time, worked in WCW, and he was the producer here. So
yeah.
It's really not just a carryover, it's just the same guy.
Right, yeah. So
if you notice, too, Mike Tenay is really quick to always say his name. David Sahadi in the truck. Well, he said it a million times.
Yeah. But we get Petey Williams with Scott D'Amore. He's defending the TNA X Division title against AJ Styles, the phenomenal AJ Styles. This went just shy of...
Just gotta say, real quick, in the middle of all this, a great wrestling match broke out.
Right.
I don't know what the hell happened.
Yeah, this went for just shy of 10 minutes. I said this was very fast-paced, and D'Amore gets involved a few times during it. Hearing Don West shout, "Pele!" just took me back. Because you and I used to joke about that.
Yeah, there's another one coming up soon, too. We'll talk about after.
Yeah, you and I used to joke about that because it was almost like he's touching himself under the table to the Pele. It's like, good lord.
Could you imagine him calling an RKO? My God. We may literally have... We may have Old Faithful at the announce table if he calls it.
Out of nowhere, my God! And I'm done. But I said it's funny to see AJ hit the phenomenal forearm as a cutoff move, just because he's turned it into a finisher, nowadays. AJ has Petey pinned at one point, but the ref, like a moron, stops the count to yell at Scott D'Amore on the apron on the other side of the ring.
Yeah,
this referee
was the thing in TNA.
Yeah.
The referee had to watch, for some reason, had to look at every part of the ring. Be a mile away, nowhere near the ring, and he'd still look at it.
Whoa. Yeah. What are you doing over there? It's like, who cares what he's doing over there? Shut the F up and make the count, dude. For God's sake. Either way, the referee ends up taking the hockey stick away from Petey Williams. So Petey just blasts AJ with the X Division title behind the referee's back. With a distraction from Scott D'Amore, Williams basically does the Panama Sunrise on AJ for the pinfall victory. And I know his finisher was the Canadian Destroyer, but he did the pin, what eventually became the Panama Sunrise, jumped off the middle rope.
Well, he literally did that only here. I don't think I've ever seen it again.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And they made a big deal out of it. They were like, oh my God, he's never done it like that before. I'm like, yeah.
So I was giving my point, too. If you think Don West touched himself to the Pele, man, how much did he lose his crap when he hit the Canadian Destroyer?
Oh, I know. Well, he sounded like Corey Graves right before Neville would go for the red arrow. Set your DVRs!
Yep.
Like, all right. But anyway, Uncle Dave gave this 3 3/4 stars. Not sure what shaved a fourth of a star off, but I gave it 3.5 stars. What say you?
I gave it 3 as well. They would have quite a few other great matches.
My personal favorite feud of Petey Williams was him versus Chris Sabin.
That was a great one.
Yeah, my favorite thing about it, because I was like, wow, it's so simple, but it's like a cool thing for a feud, because people were like, oh, no, you can't get out of the Canadian Destroyer. He'll hit it on you from wherever, whenever. Nobody has a counter to it. And then Chris Sabin ended up turning the Canadian Destroyer into the Cradle Shock, and they were like, holy crap, he's got a counter for it. Who's going to hit their finisher? So, yeah. I don't know. Like I said, it was simple, but
it would be great 2 months from this point. They would have like the best Ultimate X match ever, involving all 3 of them guys. Well, those 2 and Styles. So just amazing how much they meshed.
Yeah, the X Division was doing really good here. After the match, Scott D'Amore randomly tries to go after AJ Styles like an idiot, and go figure, AJ starts beating him up until Team Canada chases him off. It's funny to see AJ Styles here. I mean, it's like cool to see how far he's come, because like he looks nothing like this AJ.
Yeah, it's like, man, he has short hair. He's wearing the bike shorts.
Yep, he's not wearing the gloves. He's clean shaven. We now see footage backstage of Jeff Jarrett taping his wrists up while Jeff Hardy's painting his face. He put neon paint all over his entire effing body, to the point of where it like rubbed off, half of it rubbed off onto Jeff Jarrett throughout their match.
I noticed.
Yeah. We see a highlight video next of Triple X and America's Most Wanted beating each other up on a weekly basis and trash talking. Triple X took James Storm's knee out with a chair 1 week as well, so he's going into this match with a bad leg. This match, like I said, Triple X, Christopher Daniels, and Elix Skipper taking on America's Most Wanted, Chris Harris and James Storm. It is a last team standing match, meaning that apparently after you get this was different. This was almost like Texas Death Rules, because you have to make a pinfall or submission first, and then they have to. This is
literally Texas Death Rules.
Yeah. So that's what they did. But this went for 11.5 minutes. I said this match is actually very sloppy, which I didn't understand, because all 4 of these guys are really great. I also don't understand why the referee
together.
Yeah. I also don't understand why the referee's telling Triple X not to use chairs when they can't be disqualified. There are no rules. Who cares? Is he just like trying to play the moral guy? It's like, well, hey guys, that's not nice.
Yeah, don't hit the babyface with the chairs.
Yeah, right. And after Chris Harris drops Elix Skipper with a catatonic on a steel chair, Skipper kicks out just before 3, but the ref counts it anyway, and he counts to 10. AMW wins it. I gave this 2.5 stars.
The finish like really took me out of it. I'm like, barely kicked out, but then loses. Couldn't get back up.
Right. Yeah.
And then I'm like, man, I've seen so many matches between these guys that were so good. This one sucked. I gave it 1 star. I hated it.
Yeah. I was like, what's going on here?
It's funny. I don't know if there's any time in wrestling where a match can have 1 star and then the next pay-per-view have 5 stars. Because they will at turning points.
Is that the 6 Sides of Steel?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I had to go from one of the worst matches you guys have ever had to probably one of the greatest cage matches in history.
Yeah, the cage match that they used footage of in their highlight reel for the next, 10 years.
It is that great.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. Up next, after the match, Christopher Daniels nails Chris Harris in the back with a chair and then tries to handcuff him to the ropes like he did on a previous episode of Impact. But James Storm jumps Daniels, saving Harris for a second until Daniels takes him out with a chair. Daniels handcuffs Storm and Harris together, and then Daniels beats them both with a chair before security breaks him up. So it continues. Scott Hudson is now backstage with Jeff Jarrett. Jarrett tells Jeff Hardy that without Kevin Nash, Hardy doesn't have a chance at winning tonight. So, I mean, even with Kevin Nash, he didn't. We'll get into it. In the ring, Mike Tenay reads the results of the vote for the Director of Authority. Dusty Rhodes takes it by 10 points. As Dusty would just 10, by the way.
Something tells me they were like it was not legit like they claim it was, because there's no way he only won by 10.
I know. I'm like, who the hell's voting for Vince Russo to stick around? Like, seriously?
Not even ironically is he going to get that many.
Yeah. I mean, even if you're not a big fan of Dusty's booking back in the NWA days, like, come on. Either way, as Dusty walks to the ring, Vince Russo shakes Larry Zbyszko's hand in the back and he walks off. I forgot Larry Zbyszko was there.
Yeah, he was on the championship committee.
Yeah. Yeah, but he shook Zbyszko's hand, he walks off, and he's gone forever, bro.
Classic.
Dusty, I had to, especially with Russo himself. The Antichrist of pro wrestling, bro. Dusty basically delivers a stump speech in front of the crowd. His first act as Director of Authority is to book Triple X versus AMW in a 6 sides of steel at the next pay-per-view, baby. I said it's a little laughable that Dusty insinuates that TNA is about to compete with the WWE in any way, shape, or form in 2004.
Man, yeah. I'll give him this. I think Turning Point was better than Armageddon, but I don't know what that's saying.
I don't even remember Armageddon, so I can't
There you go.
Was that Booker T versus Undertaker?
I think it was Booker T, Eddie Guerrero, someone else, and The Undertaker. It was a Fatal 4-Way. Oh, JBL. He was a champ. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, that whole event sucked. So I think
thing
that was also
good?
the finals of Tough Enough, I think. Oh yeah, it was a mess of crap. Well, Turning Point was damn good though. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just like he's talking about them competing. I was kind of like, come on, Dust. I mean, you got to stump for your company, I guess. It always makes me laugh.
Well, like father, like son. Am I right?
Good Lord.
Am I right? I'm just
at least one is on actual cable television. These guys were still. I mean, were they even on Spike yet?
No, they were on FS1, which had more homes than Spike. So
and they got smaller ratings. So what's that tell you? Nobody watches FS1.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @main_event_marks and Facebook at facebook.com/main_event_marks_pod.
Now, back to our program.
We see highlights of Jeff Hardy and Jeff Jarrett going back and forth throughout the previous weeks. Jarrett using guitars on Hardy. Shocker. Broke 1,000 guitars, never drew a dime. And he accepted the ladder match with Hardy at Victory Road. Jarrett even got Petey Williams in on the thing to pose as a maintenance guy at Hardy's hotel so they can burst in the room and beat Hardy up in his hotel room.
Yeah. Forgot about that.
Just what the hell was going on in TNA, dude?
Not to get ahead in this match, but my God, they get everybody known to man involved in this damn feud match, whatever.
Yeah. Did you hear that Hulk Hogan, when he first came to TNA, one of his first acts one of the first orders of business for him, he was like, we have to get Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean,
free agent, but
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he was wrong. It's just it kind of I wouldn't think of Hulk Hogan sitting there as we need the little dude who paints himself up and jumps off of things. I'm kudos to him for seeing something in Hardy. I mean, he was a star, is a star, but either way,
much like Hulk, kind of a limited set, but people love him.
Yep. Well, just like Pritchard always said, he was like, we always thought that Matt was going to be the star of the group because he was the one who loved wrestling and he was the wrestler of the two, whereas Jeff would have been happy going home and painting his murals and recording his music for the rest of his life.
Now Jeff is thriving and Matt just did what he just did at Full Gear.
Yeah, I gotta watch that. Is he?
No, you don't. Gotta watch it.
Was it another final deletion type deal?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goody! Looking forward to that.
Well, not to get off topic. And actually, it's kind of on topic because he's here. You can tell that Jeremy Borash is missing. I'm just going to say that.
This main event was it was a ladder match for the NWA World Heavyweight Title. Yes, it was. They were still using the NWA titles. It went for just over 18.5 minutes. It was Jeff Jarrett defending against Jeff Hardy. While Hardy was looking like he was going to win, Scott Hall ran down and hit the outsider's edge on him. Because that was another thing they pointed out, and it confused me too. Jeff Jarrett came out alone, even though they made it known that Hall was going to be in his corner.
Yeah.
And instead of Hall being in his corner, he just ran down mid-match.
Yeah,
okay.
I guess I never thought of it like that, but yeah.
Yeah, I was like, all right. But he comes down, he hits the outsider's edge on Hardy before security chases him off. Hall got involved a couple more times. The Jeffs attempted a sunset flip powerbomb like 2 to 3 times and kept effing it up. Did you catch that?
I did.
It's like,
I like
dude.
how you called them the Jeffs, by the way.
Yeah. I was like, dude, just give up. You're not going to hit it. Like, somebody, like, you're both off step.
First of all, Jeff Jarrett is more of a mat-based wrestler, so...
Yeah.
You know.
I feel like Hardy kept overshooting him with the move, and then Jeff just didn't have the balance. Jarrett, excuse me, god dang it, pal. Jarrett didn't have
last name pronouns, pal.
the balance to hang on. They tried it off the ladder, they tried it off the apron, it sucked. Finally manages to stop Hall with a chair and a swanton bomb. Jarrett looks like he's got a clear path to victory when Kevin Nash's awful original TNA theme hits. First of like 4, by the way. And Kevin Nash comes out carrying 2 guitars over his shoulders. Because you know what this match needed, Greg? Was more guitars.
Yeah.
Scott Hall.
I'm gonna get into something about that after, but I remember vividly watching this when it happened. And I'm like, dude, he's clearly coming down here to give the other guitar to Jarrett. I was wrong on that part. I'll say that. He gave it to the Hall. It's like they're going to beat Jeff Hardy with his guitars. And sure enough, I thought this was the worst thing ever. Because I'm like, man, how did you not see this coming a mile away?
Yeah.
I never once bought into the fact that Nash was helping Hardy. Ever. Not even for a split second.
The band is back together. Oh, sorry, not yet.
As NWA 2000, but...
Yeah. But Scott Hall has the nerve to point out that Kevin Nash is late.
Yeah, right.
Before Nash hands him a guitar, Hall, then Nash, and then Jarrett all blast Jeff Hardy with guitars. It was like so cartoonish.
Like, I love Jeff Hardy, but let's be honest. Do you really need 3 guitars to take out Jeff Hardy?
3 men. Yeah, like 3 guitars and 3 other men.
And one of those other men is a 7-foot, 300-pound dude. Does he really need a weapon?
Right. I was so confused here. But all 3 men took turns El Kabonging him. Kabong! And then Jarrett...
Kevin Nash, by the way, came out looking like Rusev on his debut, wearing pajamas. You notice that?
No, I didn't.
Excuse me, Miro.
Wow. And Jarrett crawls up and he grabs the NWA title for the win. I gave this 3 stars because overall the match was fine. It was decent. What say you?
I gave it 2.
Yeah, it was.
Didn't like it that much. Didn't hate it to where I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot more to go, by the way, on this.
Yeah. Well, wait, a lot more to go what?
On this match. There's all the run-ins.
Oh, my video cut off. So fill me in. What happened?
Oh, well. So you didn't see it. So Hall and Nash are out there. They want a piece of anybody who wants a piece of them. AJ Styles comes out. Eventually gets beat up. And then out comes 3LK. 3LK crew. Because that's what they did. They were the perennial faces, so they had to stick up for all the other faces. And then suddenly the lights go out and Macho Man debuts.
Oh, yeah.
And we end with that. But I'm sitting there doing a head count. I'm like, 7 people not involved in this match got involved either during or after. 7.
Well, and here's my question.
Good Lord, man.
Why? It's not like Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and Jeff Jarrett, especially Nash, are particularly fast men. Nash had all this time to walk to the ring, and you could have thought, okay, he's coming out to help Hardy and even up the odds. But then he hands the guitar over. All 3 men take turns blasting Hardy. Jarrett has time to climb up the ladder and all this. So all these people that interfered after the match didn't come out during to help out?
Yeah, right.
Were they in catering and they just happened to see it on the, on the monitor? they were like, oh crap, I might want to go do something. It's stupid. Little known fact that Macho Man's last match before his death was in TNA. Not that we really want to that.
He did like a punch or two and a horrible roll up, and that was it.
Yeah, and didn't he just wear like a skin tight all blacks like outfit? Yeah, came out in a trench coat and a
spoiler. That's who was in the limo all night that Shane wanted to interview. So,
I hope he didn't have to pee in there. My gosh! All right, well, that's the end of the show. So I guess we'll take our final commercial break. When we come back, we will go over the final ratings according to you, I, and others. And we'll talk about what's coming up in future weeks.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @main_event_marks and Facebook at facebook.com/main_event_marks_pod.
Now, back to our program.
Final ratings for the night. They didn't have one for IMDb, which is what I usually use, so I went with Canadian Online Explorer, which is for some reason on every single event's Wikipedia page. So they gave it a 5 out of 10. They were kind of rough. CageMatch.net gave it a 6.2 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I gave it a between 7 and 7.5 out of 10. What say you?
I thought a solid C-. Fun for historical reasons, couple of fun moments, but nothing I'm like, go back and watch it right now. It's amazing.
Now, see, I thought it was going to be better than what it was, because when I mentioned it to you, you were like, oh my god, we got to watch it. And I'm like...
Well, I was like happy because like I hadn't watched one in a long time, and like should be the first ever one, though.
Yeah. I mean, this was historic, for like what you said. It's historic for... it's the first ever Sunday pay-per-view that they did, not one of their weekly pay-per-views. So
it's, well, as Mike Tenay would call it, the 3-hour Sunday mega pay-per-view.
Yeah. I did feel like this one dragged on in certain instances. All in all, for their very first ever Sunday big-time pay-per-view, I felt like it was a little weak. But it had some highlights. The opening match was great, showcasing the X Division. I thought the main event was fine. I mean, they did the classic overbooking the hell out of it and overthinking everything, but, Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy.
7 run-ins for the last match.
And most of them were old-timers. So,
including one of the participants, maybe even 2, of the actual match.
In their defense, the last team standing match should have been good, but wasn't.
They were saving it for the cage. So I'm standing firm on that.
And then the X Division title match was good. I like that one. Monsters Ball was
probably the best
blah.
match of the night, actually.
Yeah. Monsters Ball was blah. And just some other things. They introduced some new people. I felt like the NWA World Tag Title match was kind of just there. Team Canada and 3 Live Crew. I realized they were big things at the time. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. The thing that really got me was, this is our first time on pay-per-view. Who do we got to throw out there? Eric Watts, Pat Kenny, Johnny B. Bad, freaking, and the Minis. Like, what? And most of these matches, they kept them really short so they could make more room for the stupid storyline crap about who's in the limo and who the hell is going to be the director of authority with this fake vote.
Talking about fake vote, they had Catherine Harris make sure the votes were real.
Oh, yes. Oh, excuse the hell out of me. I mean, I will say this. I didn't not enjoy it. So, take that for what you will. But alright, this Friday, if all things go according to plan, which they should, we are going to be doing our bonus show. I've got Jacob Grandi that's going to be recording with me. We are covering WWF Survivor Series 1987. The significance of that? It was the first one. So there's that. And then on November 25th, next Wednesday, you and I are closing out the month with Survivor Series 2006.
Underrated pay-per-view.
Yeah, I don't remember a whole lot about it other than like 1 or 2 matches, but yeah, you keep going on about how great it is, so I'm looking forward to watching it. And I'm getting my fill of Survivor Series, man. So far, I've been watching Survivor Series 87. All in all, not a terrible show. So that bonus show should be really good.
Are you sure you're watching 87?
Yes. Why, you hated it?
Yes.
No, I didn't completely hate it. It had some cool moments, especially for nostalgia value. But yeah, and I've recently found more TNA stuff, more classic TNA stuff that I want you and I to kind of mix in the future, and we'll see how this goes. If people are liking the TNA stuff, great. If there are any specific TNA events you would like us to review, hit us up about it. And also, if you want more of our TNA stuff, last month for the bonus show for October, we covered Bound for Glory 2010. So thanks for joining me today, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
We will see you all this Friday for the bonus show with me and Jacob Grandi, Survivor Series 1987, and next week on Wednesday, Survivor Series 2006.